So yeah.
All right, so let's move over to so uranium looks pretty good, looks pretty solid on a longer term basis. Short term, yeah, we're getting a pullback, so what? And yeah, the overall markets like Nvidia and some of these, they look like they're all overextended and they could pull back.
Yeah, again, they could. I
Most,
mean, it's just uh, when, not if, in my view. I mean, these moves here. This is a log scale, so to get a almost vertical move on a log scale, I mean, that takes a lot of price movement to do that. If you know anything about math, so that is quite astonishing, really, that this is
yeah.
even possible. So yeah.
So how about we shift over to oil?
Oil,
Oil
yeah,
is also another area that I absolutely love to look at
yeah, yeah.
myself. What's your opinions and what do you see in the charts with oil?
It is kind of similar to uranium. I think long term, we also discussed it last week, last time I was on. Uh, I think energies have a long way to go to the upside. Again, nothing goes in a straight line, obviously, but again, oil, coal, gas also. Again, gas is a bit tricky, and uranium is for this decade. I think is a very good sector to be in if you can get good entries in the companies or in the commodity itself. Um, you can see here we have a massive breakout. It goes back what's 15 years or so, massive breakout. So basically, in my view, what we're doing now is just basically correcting, retesting that breakout line here. We talked about that last time as well. If we do some short-term stuff here, we can be very bullish very quickly, but it can also come I wouldn't say crashing down, but again we have this neckline here at roughly 79. And as you can see here, we tried to break out, we couldn't confirm, trying to break out, couldn't confirm, and now we've actually lost a tinier, trend line here, but still within the bull flag. So right now, the bulls and the bears short term is really fighting it out here. So they are going to decide whether we get into the 90s or if we get at least a correction down here to that triangle low there. So a lot of stuff here. That's also why you see all this chop here on the daily. It's just up 2% one day and then down 1.5%. So it's a big fight between the two here. So basically, it's just actually ever since here, but you can see the failed breakouts, and now we're below. So I will give it, a bit more points to the downside here. The fact that we have been trying to break out 2 times and we couldn't, and we're back below the blue neckline and the red rising trend line there. So maybe like a 65% odds of going down here. That's my take if I were to give any numbers on it. But again, that could change very rapidly if we start to get back above. I mean, we are that on a knife's edge right now for oil, at least short term. Long term, I have way higher targets, and normally you don't see such a long correction here, and then only to come down even further. I mean, maybe we are going to visit these highs here at some point in time. That is my honest opinion on oil, and then potentially
Yeah,
higher depending on how bad it goes. But yeah.
one of the tricks that I do is I start to see and I go look at the ETFs to see if they're being accumulated and if the price
Mm-hmm.
looks good there. What's your opinions on something like XOP or OIH, either one of those? I don't know if you look at those, but um, I
Yeah.
usually XOI.
This
Okay.
XOP and what did you say? XOP.
Well, that's
Yeah.
XOI works too. That's a spider oil and gas, and that looked pretty good.
Okay. Let's take that
Sure.
because yeah, I mean, this is the daily. Want to go to the weekly there. So again, here in my view, even though as we have, oops, excuse me, I want to add that in there just to big measure there. So we have this rising wedge, which usually is bearish, and it could be, but again, we are still above some big levels, and the high there. So again, quite similar to gold, it also had this rising wedge, and then it ran to the upside. So again, I wouldn't be overall bearish here on XOI in this case. But again, we're coming to a point in time where we have to make up our mind basically on this formation right here. So I think we will have within the next 2 months or so. I think we will have a decision time for this this pattern that goes back roughly 2 years. But the trend is still up until proven otherwise. So yeah. And also, if you look at
OIH, which is the energy service companies, I don't know if you look at that or if there's an equivalent one that you look at.
yeah, I do have some short-term stuff here going on. But I think the main takeaway is I also always have this, what I call the golden trend line, which is kind of the line that I build up my charts around. And in this case, it is broken. You can see here, very clear cut actually. A bit of a fake out here, but then we tested it, and then we came all the way up here. We have kind of lost, this green uptrend. But again, it's not a huge deal long term, but definitely for now, we also have this minor yellow bull flag-ish type of pattern, and we are actually coming up here. So on a weekly point here, you can see big green candles for the past 6 weeks or so after we broke out. So OIH here is also trying to at least having a bounce here. But again, we have a big level coming in here. If we can get up to roughly 400 and what's that, 25, that's a big resistance, and that goes back to 2008, the low of 2008. So oops, that will be a big one to crack if we are this lucky to get there. But again, if we add on you can see here the 30 weekly moving average, we're coming into resistance there, and that is usually the ones that I usually 30 weekly to define the trend really. So right now here on a weekly we're coming down a bit here, but you can see here we have been below quite a few times. So again, it's not all over yet. But yeah, definitely, it's quite iffy right now which way this one is going. Long term, it's looking good. The weekly stuff may be a bit bearish, but then again, if you look at the daily, we are breaking out of a bull flag. So a lot of mixed signals for OIH.
Do you watch natural gas at all?
Oh yes, I do. I actually do. I actually want to go to I want to use the what's it called, the TTF, the Dutch. Because right now I think it's a bit more stable. You can say it also only go back 6 years, but basically a one trend line chart in this case, and it's insanely well defined. And we're basically potentially putting in a double bottom here. Again, it's very early, I know, but this is the Dutch. So this is more of I think it's more the European market compared to the US markets. But again, here big level at 23. And a potential mega double bottom here for nat gas. But it depends, we're getting into summer here in Europe very soon. So let's see how it plays out. But definitely right now, a big support.
Okay.
So, and I also think I'm not going to show it here, but the nat gas chart, I think the lowest we can go is 1.3, and we are now at 1.7, I think. Don't correct me on that one. So we still might have a bit more downside, but we are coming down from 10. And we are below 2 now. So the downside, in my view, is very, very limited. What I think now is we need like half a year worth of, bottoming out before we can eventually go higher for nat gas. But again, nat gas is called the widowmaker. It's very difficult. All of a sudden, it can go up 20%, 30%, 40%. So it's very difficult to time the nat gas markets. Very difficult.
Yeah, but if you bought it in 2020, it would have been the absolute moneymaker.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, it would.
That thing just ripped from a level that's super
yes,
low to something ridiculously high.
Yeah, it's went up 100x basically, roughly. So that is amazing. That's amazing.
So here's another question. Do you think natural gas is the cheapest commodity right now?
Oh, that's a big question. The cheapest commodity. I wouldn't be able to answer. All I know is that we have come down roughly 85% with a commodity that is still very, very sought for. I mean, it's very, very used, even though I have a fly here, even though our politicians say, we got to get rid of nat gas, oil, coal, and all that good stuff. We are still using records amount of nat gas, records amount of coal and oil. So again, whenever you have a commodity that is down 85% or 90%, I mean, it's not a buy, but it's definitely worth to follow it and see if you get a buy signal at these levels. It's just amazing that it has come down that far, really. It really is. So yeah, I don't know if it is the cheapest, but it is cheap. That's all I can say.
If I were to guess, I think it's probably the cheapest. That would be my guess of
Yeah.
all the commodities on a ratio perspective, and maybe even like an energy content. You know,
Mm.
like the content of energy is probably up there too, because it is cheap.
Yeah, it's definitely
Okay.
ones that have come down the most, you know, like 85%, 90%. I don't think you can find a lot of other commodities after its 2021, 22 peak that has come down that far. I don't think you can find that many commodities that has done that. So it's very cheap. It is.
Another commodity that I've been watching that looks like to me that's either breaking out or very close to breaking out. What about copper?
Oh yes,
Copper's
copper.
been
Yeah,
one
yeah, yeah.
that's piquing my interest.
Yes, and what I like about copper is basically no one is talking about it. Of course, some people are, but it's not, you know, the big, it's not like uranium was, you know, back, you know, in summer 2023 when it started to break out and all that good stuff, or Bitcoin now, or Nvidia. But the setup is just, it could blow up, you know, very, very quickly. And I've been saying on my channel a lot here, above $4, hugely bullish. And below 3.5, it's bearish. The reasoning being that we had this golden triangle here, bit of a fake down here, and then we started to chop big time. So with the two lows that we have here at roughly 3.5 and this mega $4 resistance coming in there, in my view, if we, I do that all the time, if we start to break up from here, that is your Nvidia entry, in my view. I mean, that's where you want to enter. And yes, you need to have your stop loss and all that if you want to trade it or if you want to protect yourself. But you want to buy when it is doing nothing and then it starts to break out. You don't want to buy it when it's up here and everyone is talking copper. Then it's too late. Go look for something else. You want to buy the big breakouts, and when it's dead silence right now, which copper is, no one is talking copper. At least not on Twitter or anything that I know of. There is a few, but again, not the mainstream Twitter or whatever. They don't talk copper at all. So
Yeah. Just Robert Friedland. That's about it.
yeah.
So yeah, it
So
looks
yeah,
great. I have the same opinion. I think it looks really good.
yeah, it
And
does. It does.
here's a question for you. So let's say we get this break and you're very bullish on copper. Well, when it, you know, when all this goes out, how do you play copper? I mean, we've got diversified miners, we've got some other stuff like, how, you know, what's your favorite way to actually play copper?
I think the very easy way would be to buy the you cannot buy the commodity itself because you would have, you know, your entire garage filled with copper because it is so cheap relative to the volume, right? But there are ETFs where you can get exposure. I can't remember the exact names of the ETFs. There might be a Sprott.
TOPX?
Yeah, that's more miners, isn't it? Isn't it more miners?
Yeah, the miners.
Yeah,
That's
but
the
there's
miners.
also I think there's the Sprott ETF that also tracks copper. But again, here, yes, the COPX, which is a basket of different miners, is definitely one way to play it. And same thing here, you can see, oops, you can see here, same thing as copper. We are very close of a big, you know, breakout here going back 2 years. So again, if you have the breakout in copper above 4 and we confirm, let's say weekly close above 4, and you get the breakout here on COPX, there is no excuse not to try to look for entries into the COPX or individual miners. So yeah, and we are tracking at least one miner on the private channel that I have, which looks it's very cheap relative to where the copper price is right now, and we are tracking that. It has just met its big head and shoulders target to the downside and getting a big bounce right now. So that's one that I am highly interested in on my channel at least. So
And
yeah,
then
copper looks really good, really, really good. Again, no confirmation yet, but it's close. It's very close.
And then we've got also, let's look at some of these other precious metals like platinum and palladium. What's your opinions on those?
I think last time we spoke, we were trying to complete that inverted head and shoulder. I guess we were, you know, probably forming the right shoulder at that point in time. And then we had that big day when we went up like 13%, breaking the neckline of that pattern there. And that's actually, what I can find at least, the only bottoming pattern that we have seen in 2.5 years. Everything else has just been go away, have been bear flags upon, bearish, breakdowns. So this is the first that we've actually seen that makes sense. So platinum here again around this 1K level looks really compelling. It really does. Excuse me?
The Palladium. Yeah. You called it platinum.
Excuse me, Palladium. Yeah, Palladium.
It's-
My bad.
It's also sitting on a big structure underneath it, right? So
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
we've got,
you can see here we have a long-term, goes back 10 years, roughly 800 to 900. You have that zone where, big resistance if you come from below and major support from above. So yeah, definitely. And also you have this, I've showed this many times, that mega falling wedge there, which we again is trying to break out from. And it is very rare in my view that you have two failed attempts. We had that one there, and then in my view, it's rare that you get two in a row. But again, it could happen obviously, but it's rare. So.
and what about our boy little Platinum? I call him Platty, but
The Platy, yeah.
how's that look?
The lagging commodity, I guess. Again, overall, not to go into too much detail with regarding to the pattern here. Again, we have my golden trend line, which I use very often. It's always from a peak, more or less, until the next high. The bear trap, the bull trap high, basically. And then ever since we peaked in 2021, we have just been basically going sideways to down. But the pattern is still a bullish pattern. You know exactly what this is called, and I'm still firmly believe that this is the case. We might get attacked there, a bit of a dribble, and then we go higher. I mean, until proven otherwise, that is my call. Until we start to maybe take out the head low there, or this potential ultimate low on that shoulder. But I don't think we go any lower on platinum. Usually gold starts to lead, and then platinum needs the confirmation of gold, and then it joins the party. So again here, I don't think we will see these prices here in 2025. Let's say I don't think you'll get any near close to 900 or $1,000 for platinum in 2025 and beyond. When it leaves here, you will never see that again. Just like you won't see, in my view, also what I mentioned on gold, you will not see below 2K again. Again, I could be wrong, but that's my view on gold. It looks incredibly well. So
all right, so you have to choose. We've got platinum, palladium, and silver. What would you choose on those metals today? Which one would you buy physically out of those three?
I would have to go with silver, to be honest. Again, that's purely based on the pattern here. We can look at silver, even though I don't.
Yeah, let's look at silver since you shows it. We got to look at it.
Again, I want to show it here in USD, but I also want to show it divided by the Dixie. Very funky setup there as well. But again, here in my view, we are incredibly close to that breakout that we talked about. I think last time we spoke, we were at the bottom of this of that trend line there, and now we are basically trying to break out from a 14 years long trend line coming down. Yes, we have some wicks above and so it's not totally out of the clear. But again, breaking out and basically taking out this right here, $26. There it is. Again, the big inverted head and shoulders, similar to platinum. Again, this has a horizontal line, so it's more. I think a lot more people likes the horizontal neckline compared to a skewed neckline. Again, it's a personal preference. But I also think here, unless something terrible happens, silver is kind of, looking at gold and saying, yeah, gold is agreeing this is potentially the big go for gold, and then silver, just like platinum, it will follow. And then I just like, I think silver more because it has done so poorly, let's say, for the past many years, and the overall long-term patterns, we've discussed this many times, just points to at least $100 for silver if you look at it on a nominal scale or regular, and way higher if you look at it on a log scale, which I tend to use all the time. So I'm definitely more bullish on silver. I haven't done the ratio in a long time with platinum and silver, so I could be wrong, but that's just on top of my head. Silver is definitely the better play. But again, I wouldn't, if someone says platinum, I wouldn't disagree because platinum looks really good as well.
On
It
that.
really does. Yeah.
Yeah. So
So
here's a question for you. We've got gold. It's broken out, right? Would you say gold's a clear breakout?
I think it is. I mean,
And
it's a remarkable breakout that we have. I think the breakout
so,
that we're seeing now is the same as we saw back in 2019. Same pattern, and we didn't see, below that ever again. And yeah, basically the exact same thing here.
here's the question. We've got gold that just broke out that we have right in front of us. What's the likelihood of silver not breaking out? I mean, that's the way that I view it. And then we've got this gigantic 14-year pattern that we're about to break. And then that could activate the big 50-year cup and handle, right?
Yes,
So
exactly.
could someone argue that silver at this particular time, right where we're at today, and maybe over the next month or two, would be potentially the best buying opportunity of almost anything that you've seen in the market? Could someone make that case?
Yes, and I wouldn't disagree. Again, there are probably some say that, maybe uranium at some point was better or whatever, Bitcoin, I don't know, but definitely it is it is top, one of the best setups that there is right now in the commodity space, and probably also in the tech and so on, because tech has moved. So if you're not in tech, don't chase it, in my view, at least. There are better plays. So from a breakout perspective, and this is the momentum that we will get here upon this break. If it happens, I don't know, but I'm calling it. I think it will happen. It's just going to unload so much momentum to the upside upon this break. It is for the past 4 years we have done nothing, basically going sideways. And when silver moves, I want to show you here actually. When silver moves, it doesn't do it, two step up, one step down. It is a one-way street. So it does nothing for a long time. Again here, a long time, and then straight up again, straight up. Yes, we had that 2008 correction. Same thing here again, straight up. So when we leave these massive patterns, you will not get an entry. That is history. We can go back to the 90s as well. You will not get, any type of entry when it happens. It's a one-way street. So, but it is boring the other 95% of the times when it does zip.
Yeah.
So
So let's walk through this real quick on silver, because I am extremely bullish on silver as well. Anything in the precious metals area
yeah,
arena right
yeah,
now, I'm
I
pretty
agree.
much bullish on. So if we break this downtrend line, we still have overhead resistance, right? We got some
Mhm.
resistance in the 26 and $28 range,
Yeah,
is
but
what I see.
they to me, if you break 26 on a weekly basis, I know many people are talking the 28s. It shouldn't be a big thing. Yes, you will get some short-term pullbacks there, but in my view, it doesn't mean much. The pattern is broken, and the overall structure points to well into the 40s here in the short term, at least when it breaks. So, but yeah, 28 is a level that we need to get through, but minor.
So okay, so let's say we break up, we break the downtrend here, we close at 26 or something like that. Does that engage us to the upside, would you say, if we close somewhere like at 25, $26, somewhere in that range? What would it take for you to be like, man, this thing is just going to unload? Like what what price would silver need to get to where you're just like, man, this thing's ready, like it's going?
Yeah, right there, basically 26. That is my big confirmation level. Yes, we are breaking out if you look back here, the 13-year long trend line here. But the thing is, if we didn't have any wicks here, let's say this wick wasn't there and that was gone and that was gone, so we had clear topping pattern all the way down, that would be it, 24 and a half. That would be the big level. But we have a lot of selling, trying to break out from that level. So I will first be convinced, let's say a weekly close above 26, then it should be ready to really do some heavy movement to the upside. No questions asked.
So if we do heavy movement to the upside, what would be the price to break out the big cup and handle on the 50-year pattern, in your opinion?
That
And
is,
and
yeah,
you can look at it from different time frames too, which makes it really confusing, because you could use a yearly time frame, and when you use a yearly time frame, it's like right at like 30, $31.
yeah,
So I'm like,
exactly. Which is the
so
2020 highs, basically. The 30 is 2020 highs. So that makes good sense, really. So
So what
So
do you
yeah,
think? What price would you be like, man, this engages the big cup and handle on the 50-year pattern?
yeah. I mean, if you very briefly here, if we take that flagpole and basically add it to the lowest point here, then you get $50. The alignment is perfect. And then, in my view, you will not get a clear cut of that. I would be surprised again, but again, it can overshoot because it is so, just like nat gas, it can really move when it moves in both directions. But I do think you will have like a third touch, just like we saw on gold, and then we will have maybe a bit of a dribble, and then we engage higher. Um, so that is basically it. But again, as you mentioned, we have short-term patterns and then we have the long-term patterns. And I think when these short-term patterns confirms and they are going to hopefully meet their targets, it triggers a lot of bigger patterns along the way. So you have the shorter term, traders and investors coming in, which triggers the medium and the long term. So it is a very intriguing moment in time here when we break that 26, 25, 26, let's call it. It's a big it's a big sensible moment, just like we saw on gold here. That the $2,000 level was a big one to get through. Same thing here again for silver. 25, 26 is in my view, the big one to get through because it triggers so many next level targets from this 50-year long pattern that we have. So yeah, it's
So I'm gonna ask
exciting.
another difficult question.
Yes,
We've
bring
got
it.
copper looking like it wants to break out. We've got some of these other sectors like palladium's kind of breaking out, gold's broken out. We've got all these breakouts. How do you kind of down select which sector that you actually want to go into and enter with all these different patterns basically forming all at once?
Yep. I think if you want to get into the physical stuff, you basically buy a little bit of both of all three. Palladium, yes, maybe, but again, I think platinum, gold, and silver is definitely that's at least the ones that I hold. Palladium is also a good, not an excuse, but you can easily hold platinum as well. So you hold all four, and you basically choose if you want to have 10% gold, 60% silver, or whatever you want to do. That's just basically how you risk tolerant you are. So definitely get into the commodities, and then you have to look at the overall miners ETFs, which will also perform very well when and if all this unfolds. It will perform insanely well. You can also already see right now that the gold and silver miners, also some platinum miners right now, is actually starting to react to that possibility that we're about to really push up the price. And then you basically have to find the setups or the miners from a fundamental point of view where you want to have some leverage. Again, these miners are very difficult. They have huge drawdowns, 50, 60% easily in an uptrend. So you need to have basically a smaller percentage into that. But if they can easily become a 10, 20, X within the next few years. So all of a sudden, even though if you maybe only have like 2% of your investment into that company, that is all of a sudden it's like 15 to 20% of your, so it can really scale up. So you need to, in my view, not go all in on the miners because that will definitely be a difficult ride because it will be so emotional. So you need to protect yourself, but also have the leverage plays that can really boost your net worth, which I also think gold, silver, and platinum will do, but not as big as the miners. But the miners you need to manage a bit more. For every week you need to look at them. Is it still good and all that? Do you need to scale out maybe and all that because they are very difficult to. They're not as stable as we have seen for the
Volatile as
past.
all heck.
Yeah, exactly. For the past 2, 3 years, some silver miners are down 90%. So yeah.
Knowing the chart on silver here, it would, I mean, would someone or like would yourself, would you want to be in the miners right now before it breaks out? Because I know when it breaks out, it goes vertical. Or do you wait for the breakout and then start to look at the mining companies in your opinion?
I have my full position in uranium. I'm not doing much more there. I'm just letting it be. I have one position that I'm trading around, but that's just very small stuff. But right now, since I'm so convinced that we are having the breakout, I am looking at the miners and seeing if they are starting to break out of bigger patterns again. Usually, some of them they move before the metal itself does. So again, I'm looking heavily into silver miners, gold miners, and also the very, very few palladium miners that we have, you only have like maybe 10 that is good. I don't know, 5 maybe. It's very, very limited. So I'm definitely looking at the entries that you can get there on these miners. Definitely. That is it is time to position now, in my view, if you believe that this is the move that we're going to get. If you do it like half a year from now, they may be up, many multiples, and then you're not late, but then you have to wait for pullbacks and consolidation. Yeah, you basically know what you need to wait for, and then so if I have a good excuse to get in, and I think there are some very good candidates, by the way. I'm doing it right now. I actually bought one today, so in a silver miner. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing.
Again, you need to get in when it's still calm. Just like we saw on Nvidia, the time to buy is not now in Nvidia. It was like half a year ago or like a year ago. So yeah.
What other sectors are you following right now or get you intrigued? If you want to share anything else.
We can just before we go, I want to show, I think I don't know if I have showed it to you, a correlation between Bitcoin and Amazon. I've definitely posted it on Twitter a few times, but I want to show the the gold divided by the Dixie. So you get a bit of a different pattern here, but basically what we are doing right now is we're breaking out of a massive resistance here going back to 2011. Again, inverted head and shoulders, monthly breakout here. Lovely stuff again here, gold breaking out against Dixie, yet another check mark. Gold is really, really pushing it here. Silver also, you can look at it here. I added this blue line there. Let's remove it. But you can see here again, silver is also pretty damn close to take out that trend line there. And you know as a technician what this means if this happens. It's just, again,
game on. It's game on, baby.
It's very, very
because you've got gold and silver doing it. It's game on.
Yeah, exactly. It's game on. Yeah. And you have copper, just also barely breaking out. The downside is, though, that usually when you have copper, gold, and silver moving, that means we will have so much inflation in 2 years to come. But again, that's why we do this stuff, to position in these things. So we kind of offset that a bit. We are taking advantage of the inflation to come, but we will definitely also feel that pain in like 18 months time. That is for sure. So yeah, lastly, let's do Bitcoin. It is just a funny fractal analogy that I have seen, you can guess. So let's take you way back. I was only in my teens here, back before the dot-com bubble. This is Amazon. Again, I don't remember if we did this chart before, but let's do it again. The daily stuff here on, I need to go way back here. So this is I guess the IPO here of Amazon way back in the day in 1997. So way back, 3 humps here, and then we had this tiny. I want to zoom in so we can see it because it gets a bit detailed. Then we have this tiny overshoot there, and then we came all the way down, and then again here we have this tiny overshoot of the previous overshoot of that high there. Also, remember this upsloping trend line here, which we are basically breaking down from, and then we are just grinding it back and forth. If we take a snapshot here of this the chart, I want to show you the Bitcoin chart on a weekly basis, but again, it is at least very, very, very similar. You have the 3 humps there. Actually, you also had this initial fractal was also identical. Second hump, third hump, and then we go into the daily to get the detail. And then we had that minor overshoot with the futures ETF, I think, came online there. All the way down, we did drop, a bit further down, and now we're actually again here, peaking above that second interim peak high there. I don't know if that will happen, but again, the fractal, the setup is so much alike that I cannot help to wonder if we are going to see the exact same thing here. Also, Bitcoin heavily is in the 90s. Here on almost the 90s on RSI, make a move up here. This is log scale. It's almost going at an 80-degree angle. I don't know. I just find it very, 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 very.
You're gonna make me label this the Big Short.
I don't know. And the same thing here. You're just grinding that line there as well, and then you peak. And I don't know. I think we need a month or two to see if this really is the case. But the setup is identical. And if this is the case, I don't know. I'm just showing it to people so that they can do whatever they want with the info. But Amazon came down 95% after that peak here. I don't know. And Amazon
Hope
was,
that's the case, so we can
yeah.
stop with these crypto psycho people. So here's something that I think, and I'll just share it, and maybe you can give your opinion on it.
Yeah.
I think that technology is in a big bubble. We can see it in the ratios. We can see all that stuff. And I think crypto is an extension of or creation that occurred in this big bubble.
Yeah.
And you're literally providing evidence of exactly what I think of where crypto will go eventually. But what's your opinions on what I just said there? You don't have to agree with me.
I mean, I completely agree with you until now. I think right now, if you do you can also do the overlay with the Nasdaq chart here and Bitcoin. And I think for the past at least 18 months, or even more, but at least the past 12 to 18 months, the correlation has been dead on 1-to-1. Well, not on 1-to-1, but it's just so similar. And for now, yes, Bitcoin, Ethereum, all that good stuff is basically the new tech. Many people say it will be the new world currency. Let's see if that happens. But for now, it is tech, and I'm totally convinced on this. And you cannot, convince me otherwise until proven otherwise, because of this chart and the correlation and all that good stuff with the tech sector. So again, if the tech here corrects, I would be insanely surprised if Bitcoin doesn't correct similar or more. Usually it does way more than that. So I would be very surprised. I could be wrong, but again, that is my take. That's my view on that ratio. So I completely agree with you. Again, I could be wrong, but yeah.
Yeah, and I think by the design of how the system, or by the design of Bitcoin, the miners with all the halvings, their costs just shoot through the roof. So if we get a big move lower, basically you price out all the mining of Bitcoin. So I think the whole thing will just collapse on itself, I think, because the cost curve continues to go up with all the halvings. And if this does pull back 80-90% with tech, I could see it just get completely wiped out potentially, because all the fees and all that stuff that would be put onto the end user.
Yeah, I think we will have, just like we saw, at the dot-com bubble, the internet just came out. We had all sorts of crap coming online, worth billions of dollars at that point in time. And I think we need like a cleansing. Just like in crypto, we need a cleansing. Take out 99% of all the stupid stuff that is online. I even saw some coins that basically is just nothing, worth more than the silver market. It is just insane. So we need a complete cleansing, in my view, of the crypto, and the ones that survive, just like Amazon. It dropped down like 95%. But look where it is now. It's way multiples. It's just in the stratosphere. And I think we will see similar. I think we will see the ones that survive, or the new stuff that comes, with that devastation, will be the future. The blockchain and all that good stuff. It has a place for sure. But again, what will survive, we will have to wait and see for the good old crypto space.
All right. Well, that's all I've got. Do you have anything else that you'd like to share, Casper?
No, not really. I mean, if people want to look into a market that no one's talking about, even less than copper, I think nickel is a fun one to look at. Again, not financial advice, but it is breaking some good stuff, and we are at support. So check it out. It's a tiny market, so it's fun.
If people want to follow your work, where do they go?
They go to Twitter, uselink INB. Same thing for YouTube. And I'm looking into creating a Substack account because, yeah, long story short, it's much easier basically to do that in that way. So all the private stuff that I currently post on the private Twitter and for members on YouTube, I think we will move in that direction. I think because it's way easier for me to do that with the time management and so on. So yeah.
Cool. That's all I've got. Thanks for coming on, Casper. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. And let's see in like 3 months if my take here on this fractal is valid or not, or if Bitcoin is at a 100K. I don't know.
Okay. All right, guys. That's all we got. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.